name is Giselle and welcome back to my Music Foundation YouTube videos. Today we will be talking about the musical staff, the treble and bass clef, and the acronyms. Sometimes you notice 5 lines on the staff. Usually when you're reading those notes, you start from bottom and you count all the way up. The bottom line is line 1, the second line, next is the third line, fourth line, and fifth line. In between those lines, there are white spaces. In music, we have 4 spaces. Space 1, space 2, space 3, and space 4. So we would start with space 1. We would start with line 1, space 1, line 2, space 2, line 3, space 3, line 4, space 4, and line 5. The notes do go off the staff, and we use ledger lines to continuously keep reading the notes. And those notes are usually on the really lower end of the piano and the really higher end of the piano. On the staff, we're looking more towards like the mid-range of the piano. We have 2 clefs that we normally read on the piano. The first clef is treble clef. The bottom, what we usually play with the left hand, is the bass clef or F clef. Treble clef, we usually play with the right hand. It is also known as the G clef. And if you notice in the swirly line, it's going around the G. For bass clef, it is the F clef because the loop is going around the F line. Now, how do we know what's G and F? Well, we have our acronyms. First, let's start with treble clef. Treble clef, we're going to start with our lines. So again, we start from the bottom, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, all the way to the top, line 5. You might be familiar with this sentence. This sentence is every good boy does fine. Now, every good boy does fine is an acronym, and we are focusing on the first letter of each note. E for every, G for good, B for boy, D for does, and F for fine. And if you notice, each of those 5 words, every good boy does fine, match per line on the staff. Now, for space, I like to tell my students what rhymes with space? Your face. And to spell face, F-A-C-E. F for space 1, A for space 2, C for space 3, and E for space 4. That covers the notes on the staff for treble clef. For bass clef, same concept. We're reading bottom and making our way to the top. We're going to first start with the line. So you might have heard great, big, dogs, fight, animals. 5 words for those 5 lines. G for great for line 1 all the way in the bottom, big for line 2, dogs for line 3, fight for line 4, and animals for line 5. G, B, D, F, and A. G for great, B for big, D for dogs, F for fight, A for animals. For our space notes, same thing. We start from the bottom and we make our way to the top. You might have also have heard all cows eat grass. A for all, C for cows, E for eat, G for grass. All cows eat grass. A is for space 1, C is for space 2, E is for space 3, and G is for space 4. So that covers the bass and the treble. Grand staff. Sometimes in music you'll find a grand staff with 2 treble clefs. That does not mean you're playing with two right hands. You're reading the left hand and the right hand in treble clef. And the same thing if you saw two bass clefs instead of one treble clef and one bass clef. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Have a great day.